members who are embracing Franciscan living as novices, that we are with them. So again, I welcome you to this soiree. And I call on the Father, Mother, God Supreme. I call on the company of heaven. I call on all the great masters and teachers. I call on St. Francis, St. Clare and Colette. And I call especially on all the men and women who've crossed over, who have left us a legacy of love. So I ask that this short time be blessed, that it be for our highest good, and that the Spirit of all-knowing love will speak through us to your heart, and that you will speak to my heart in exchange. What is simplicity? It's an interesting question, and it has many answers. But what does simplicity mean in relation to Franciscan living? Allow me share with you some notes. In a consumer society, those who follow the monastic way are marching out of step because we can be content with a simple lifestyle. Those of us who have already surrendered our heart have surrendered all the baggage that weighs us down, the baggage and the trappings of materialism and greed. And we seek to travel light. So instead of becoming a devotee of Imelda Marcos with the hundreds or thousand pairs of shoes in her wardrobe, we only have 2 feet. And really, in essence and truth, we really only need 1 pair of shoes and possibly a spare pair. But that's taking it a bit too severe. What we need to adopt is a simpler way of deciphering information from God and not adding our own stuff or trying to manipulate what God is saying. In the wisdom literature of the Hebrew scriptures, we find this thought in Ecclesiasticus. This is all that I have learned. God made us plain and simple, but we have made ourselves very complicated. That's Ecclesiastes 7, verse 29. King David was in some respects a complicated man, but his devotion to Yahweh was simple, even childlike, like little Thérèse of Lisieux, Bernadette of Subaru, Gandhi, to name but a few. And after piling up mountains of precious metals and costly building materials for the temple, he offered it all to Yahweh in a grand gesture. And this is what he said: I know, my God, that you put hearts to the test and love simplicity. Wherefore I also, in the simplicity of my heart, have joyfully offered all these things. The barefoot Galilean leaves us a wonderful blueprint of simplicity, doesn't he? And it says, Jesus seems to have equated simplicity of heart with a quality of childlike trust in God's care. He called a child over, didn't he? And he placed it in their midst and said, Amen. I say to you, unless you turn and become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. That was quoted in Matthew 8, verses 2 to 3. Jesus himself in his public ministry left you and I a wonderful template of how we can embrace simplicity of heart. Not only how we can embrace it, but how we can live it, and how we can incorporate it into our daily living. As a Franciscan, you know and I know that we come to the Creator God not through opulence, dressed in Gucci, Armani, and it would be nice to just walk into a department store now and smell all the fragrances. I used to love that. I used to love that. When I first left the monastery back in the 70s, I'd never known the smell of aftershave. And one day, Brother Eddie, who left also with several other brothers, we decided to have a treat and go into Kendall's in Manchester. And you'll never guess what. It was the department store like Harrods in London. And we went to the men's fragrances, and my gosh, I was overwhelmed by the different types of fragrance. It was complicating. It wasn't simple. So being daredevils, we decided to go around because we were going out that night and we wanted to smell our best instead of smelling of smoke and incense. So we each sprayed one another with this concoction of the most beautiful fragrance. I think I smelt more like a dog's dinner than I did as a virile young man on the loose, but it was a wonderful experience, but I wouldn't say it was simplistic. It was a nightmare to try and decide and discern which bottle of aftershave do I invest my small pittance in. My allowance was £3 a month because I was still part of the monastery, but officially not laicized. So we were given £3 a month pocket money. Well, this was worth a lot more than £3. And I thought to myself, why do they make it so difficult? And another example today is when you want a bag of sugar and you go into Walmart or Asda or Quinn's or Dunn's in Ireland. You don't see a bag of sugar. You see rows of different types of sugars, don't you? Cube sugar, brown sugar, white sugar, less fattening sugar, high calorie sugar, the sort I like, demerara, it goes on and it goes on. So even in our society today, we are surrounded by complexity. So, but when we embrace a simple life of selfless giving and selfless loving, the key of Franciscan spirituality around simplicity is about jettisoning unwanted baggage. And the greatest baggage that blocks simplicity from becoming a prayer, from becoming a prayer, is fear. Fear has such a control on embracing spiritual wellness and wholeness, and we are all affected by fear on different levels. Allow me read this to you. The baggage that we carry with us is directly or indirectly the result of unprocessed emotions that we have gradually built up as a result of traumatic events. Let's reflect on that, please, because that's important. that is so important. This stored baggage has weighed down our bodies and blocked a great deal of our initial qualities and options. Fear has drawn us out of our senses and into our heads. It has drawn us away from our heart. We came into this incarnation heart-centered, as a perfect being of God. We did not come into this life tainted with original sin. We came as a beautiful child of God. God did not create an imperfect child. He created you and me in his image and likeness. And then he said, and I found that what I created was very good. These are the words of God, not necessarily the words of religion. So that fear and insecurity feed the need for power and control in our lives, leading us to cling tightly, oh yes, to cling tightly to each other and to material things. And you could give me a ream of examples of how fear and insecurity have propelled you in your journey. Fear and insecurity in my life left me an emotional cripple because of brainwashing in the monastic life. I was brainwashed to believe that I was an out-and-out reject, and that I had to prove to God how much I loved God by kneeling on nails and stones, whipping ourselves till we drew blood, wearing a dog chain and pulling on it every first Friday. All of that was ego. All of that was ego. But it took 40 years to redefine the real meaning and love of God, because I associated God my Father with the role model I had in reality, which was my birth father, who was a beautiful man in looks, in voice. He was the spit of Errol Flynn, he had the voice of Mary Alanza, and he could pull any woman in Dublin, which he did. But he was violent, he was abusive, and I loved him. And I realize now as an older man, though he had everything material given to him, private education, boarding school, university, he came from a very well-connected Irish family, but he was never given love. Ever. He had to make an appointment to see his mother, because she was a high flyer in society in Ireland. They had a maid, a chauffeur, housekeepers. So he never had that personal intimacy with a mom. So when he married my mother, she too came from a dysfunctional family in Glasgow, just after the war, where it was tough going. And they were my parents and I loved them. But they have not got the right for me to call them my real mom and dad. My real mom was my grandmother that reared me and taught me values, and certainly simplicity was one of them. Integrity, which we're talking about tomorrow on our third day of the retreat. But let me share with you, I love my natural father, despite all the cruel things he did to me as his firstborn son. But I entered religious life thinking that God the Father was abusive and a bully. So I brought a lot of baggage from childhood into my monastic life. And then I realized, not knowing any different, fear and insecurity became the seedbed out of which I found it very difficult to love myself And when someone told me that God loved me, I couldn't hear it. I switched off because I thought there was a catch. Last night I shared with you about my epiphany moment on the 7th of December 2007, when I finally gave in the battle, when I was temporarily paralyzed in my legs from a virus I contracted in Egypt that hit my spine. But that was God's way of keeping me still to listen to him speak to my heart, that he did love me. And I knew then that he did not want me to become a monk in a Catholic order. He wanted me to live a simple life. He wanted personal intimacy from my heart, without all that structure, without all of that negativity and ritual. He wanted me to be free. Simplicity, for me as a Franciscan, is the little way that was demonstrated and practiced by little Therese of Lisieux. Like Padre Pio, he was turned down for priesthood because he wasn't academically clever. There are so many holy men and women from all faith traditions who were despised by the intelligentsia of their religious bodies because they didn't fit that ego whatever. So for me, Francis of Assisi with Claire and Colette, Bridget of Ireland does it for me, and Kevin, Cuthbert, Bede, Columba. They do it for me, like Julian of Norwich, Hildegard of Bingen. Why do they light my fire? Because they walked the talk and they lived a life of detachment from insecurity and fear. They honored their heart. They faced their fear and insecurity and they blessed it. Like we are trained in the Teo community when we become a novice, we are trained to bless every eventuality within our life. Our overweight, our insecurity, our depression, our lack of decision, our prone to becoming a drama, whatever. We bless every eventuality and we offer it to God as a prayer, as a gift. It is us, it is me, it is part of me. So Franciscan spirituality, embracing simplicity, is about doing a stock check. It's about revisiting what is relevant and irrelevant. And that applies to friends. That applies to family. Because we attract, when we're fearful and insecure, we give out a smell like that fragrance in candles that drew me in. Oh, that's heaven. Oh, yes, I could have some of that. But when I got down to the reality of it, it was awful. We attract people who abuse us. We attract conflict. If we're indecisive and not assertive for our belief, we actually attract to ourselves mayhem. We end up becoming an emotional cripple. That is not simplicity. Franciscan simplicity is a key that you turn in your heart, and it reawakens the barefoot Galilean to take you to the divine, the supreme, the mystical heart of God that allows you be free, that allows you prioritize. Why are you here? What is my purpose here? Am I here to be spoiled rotten? To be waited on like some bloated whatever? No. To do the dying duck? Attracting attentive, seeking whatever? No. It's to travel light and honor every eventuality in your life. When we say travel light, it literally means only take what you need, and that applies to friends. What you don't need in your life are people who will drag you down, people who will become a psychic vampire and suck you dry and spit you out when they've finished with you. I tell you truthfully, since I became an enclosed monk, I am deeply shocked by the amount of so-called spiritual people who give lip service to God because it suits them. And they're like psychic vampires. They want you to tell them what to do, and they want you to live their life for them. And when it suits them, they'll be polite. I'm becoming more and more aware, and I just hold them in love and let them go. I love them, but I don't like them. But I'm not meant to like them. I'm meant to pray for them. But I am not meant for people to be in my life who are going to treat me as something under their shoe. Now that's not my ego. That's my heart. You and I are in divine service. And the way to honoring that commitment is to take stock. What is of value? Use it. What isn't and doesn't serve your highest good, bin it. I've said that to all the students I've been training for Magdalena since 2002, and all the books I've written is not because I'm clever. I left school at 11 with no qualification. All that I've written was given. But I have said to all the students, if there's something you have read that I have written and it does not resonate with your heart, bin it, and I won't be offended. Because you must honor your heart. You must take responsibility for your journey. You must not rely on me or anyone else to tell you how to live your life. That is violent, abusive behavior. So the key to simplicity is an invitation by the cosmic Christ to embrace beauty, to embrace the I Am presence. Let us now relax and let us come and let us allow the cosmic Christ come into our heart. Let us close our eyes and sit in the silence and the stillness, in our own sacred oasis that is filled with the love and the peace of God. And we are aware that our spiritual teachers are here. Francis, Claire, Colette, Bridget, Gandhi, the Lord Buddha, Ganesh, Vishnu, Krishna, Sri Chimoy, Little Therese, Bernadette, with the archangels and angels, with Gaia, Magdalena, Kuan Yin and Isis, and all our ancestors, and all our beautiful pets, they are here. And as we breathe in, let us say, I am a beloved of God. And now release our out-breath and release any fear. And as we breathe in again, we say, I am a beloved of God. And now I release my love, my invitation to the Christ to come and feel him lay his hands on your heart. Visualize him standing over you with his right hand on your heart and his left hand on your crown chakra. Feel the love of simplicity flow through your heart and reawaken the divine within you, the divine you brought into this life, the I Am Presence. And feel that love, the love that He gave for you on Calvary wasn't a fictitious story, as many will have us believe, that He did not die, that He had a walk-in. He died. He died on a cross as a supreme act of love, so that you and I could be free to love again. Feel that love coming through His humble hands as He anoints you with the spikenard of Magdalena. And just look into His face and there see the eyes of the cosmic Christ. There is no other. There can be no other. The cosmic Christ is here. He has come in a real, tangible way to support you and me and others like us who are seeking spiritual wellness, to prepare us for the ascension process. He comes in love, not fear. And He's now touching you in your heart center and heart chakra. And at the same time, Gaia is releasing her love from the animal kingdom right up through your feet. Feel your feet burn with love. And now the company of heaven are releasing into you right now through your crown chakra all the love of the tree of life, to the 7 branches, embracing the love from the 7 roots coming down into your heart, implanting the spiritual understanding and significance of simplicity in our relationship with ourself, with our God, Goddess, with our brothers and sisters. Stay with that. And honor who you are as a child of God. Honor who you are and your truth, and nobody else's truth. But what truth comes from your heart, that is God's truth. Not what comes from your ego or head. That is the Antichrist, trying to tease you away from your path. Feel the love of the Christ flow through your heart now, balancing, strengthening, and aligning your higher self with your soul's DNA in the presence of the Supreme. O beloved God, called by many names, we are your sons and daughters. There is no one to compare with you. We honor you. We adore you because we love you. And He's saying to my heart to share with your heart. Come, you whom my Father has blessed, and receive the kingdom prepared for you from the beginning of time. Come, my beloved, embrace simplicity, for that is the key to understanding my will for you, my love for you. Be still. Be still in the presence of God and embrace all that you are as a child of love, a brother and sister of the cosmic Christ. And he whispers in your ear, call on me when you are weary. Call on me when you feel vulnerable and afraid, and I will come to you, like now. And suddenly we become aware that we are back in our own room and that something has happened at soul level, where we have experienced the touch of God, and there are no words, and there is no reason to use words, but the Christ has touched all our hearts. And those who will watch this recording, they will be touched too, because we are all beloveds of the same Father, Mother God, whether we're black or white, Christian, Hindu, Jew, atheist or pagan, whether we're tall or short, able-bodied or disabled-bodied, whether we're married or single, whether our sexual orientation is different to what society expects, we are all made in the image and likeness of God. And who we are is the personification of that person, that God, Father, Mother. Be at peace now and celebrate your divinity as a child of love, because you are loved. And the key to simplicity is the greatest prayer, because it's a prayer in action. It's a prayer of service. It's non-vocal, because it is love. Good night and God bless. Good morning and God bless. And to our friends Tom, Eleanor and Elizabeth in America, I say good evening. And to dear Margaret Mary in Ireland, Kate Mila Foggia, my love to Mark and to Mary. God bless you. Please pray for me. Thank you.